family.
It's family.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to start off?
Well, I mean, you should start off because it's based on your podcast.
I mean, in a way. Wellington is a comic that uses a lot of what I've learned through making lore over the last 4.5 years, fueling it into a fictional historical tale. It comes from an early episode of lore about a character called Spring Heel Jack. That was a weird phenomenon in London in the 1850s, I think late 1850s, who was described as wearing like a white onesie, and he spat fire and had blue eyes and would jump over buildings and walls, so they called him Spring Heel Jack, because of course he had springs in his heels, right? And London was in such a panic that the Duke of Wellington, who was he was still the military commander of the British forces, but he was also a retired prime minister. He was late in life, but he wanted to help the panic, and so he got on his horse, put on his guns, and he went hunting for Spring Heel Jack. And I thought it was the coolest little fact to learn about this otherwise really upstanding and normal military leader. Like, he beat Napoleon at Waterloo, right? He was good at what he did, and yet he went out looking for a supernatural monster. And I thought, what if he had done this his whole life? And we just got a glimpse of it in history. And so Wellington is the Duke of Wellington as a supernatural monster hunter. It's sort of Supernatural, the TV show, meets Sherlock Holmes, Victorian England. And so I kind of birthed the idea and came up with some ideas on where the story needs to go. And then Delilah, who is a brilliant comic writer, has taken that and turned it into a really compelling story arc. Yeah.
That's awesome.
The one that, I mean, you could talk about the monster. I will say that it hasn't popped up in lore before, which is nice. Yeah.
Well, it was really fun. I just make up most of the stuff I write. You sent me these first-hand accounts from these deep dive Google sources that I never would have heard of before. So it's really cool to read the different things. And I know some of them are in the actual the patois of the day, how people spoke and described things. So it's really fun to do kind of the deep dive into history as related to that, and also about the setting where, it starts off in Wellington's house. You can go to Wellington's house. It's called Apsley House. It's open as a museum now. So we had a very kind of rich background to set it in.
Yeah. Well, what's fun about this series and working with Delilah is, when she's written her own stuff, but she's really good at playing within other people's IP. You've written Star Wars and Spider-Man, and living within somebody else's creative world means that there are rules and there are certain right and wrongs. You can't just make stuff up without getting approval. And with Wellington, it's not so much that there's an IP that she's working within, it's history, right? She can't just make up the name of a house for Wellington. It has to be Apsley House, and it has to look a certain way.
Oh, and I did a deep dive in selecting his gun, because they said he wasn't a great shot, but he always carried a ceremonial pistol, so I had to find the kind of dag that he would have carried in the time, knowing that he harkened from an earlier time and was the kind of dude who wouldn't have the latest greatest. He would be carrying the one he was given when he was 25 probably.
Yeah. So it's almost like you're working within the constraints of Disney, but instead of that, you're working within the constraints of history. And it's made for some really beautiful shots. I mean, if you've seen the 5 pages in the ash can that's out right now, and if not, we can get you one. It's made for some really beautiful shots. And
so here's the cover.
So that's Wellington. Yeah, there he is.
Here's Apsley House, where he lives. Real place. Well, he doesn't live there. I mean, his ghost does probably. But and they've done a great job capturing the. We wanted a spooky feeling, like you're walking up to this creepy house in the middle of the night, and the door just kind of swings open, and then there's shadows everywhere. It's so much fun. Peter
Kowalski
and Brad Simpson are inker and colorists, and they're just amazing.
So good, yeah. Well, it's my first cover that I've ever had. This is old hat for you, but I just about cried. I mean, come on, this is my first comic cover. You can't beat that. That is badass. So, can I say that? It's badass. Yeah.
It's bad butt.
It's bad. That is bad butt. So that, yeah, I was a comic collector when I was in high school. I left it after college and never really went back, but I have such a deep appreciation for good art, and that's a thing that we made. It's so cool.
Well, it is different though. I think because you're involved and you have such a love of lore and keeping it very lore-ish that they're sending you. Normally I get a comic cover and it's completely done, and they're like, "Here's the thing," and I'm like, "Awesome." Whereas this, we've seen, what do you we want. Here are some layers. We move things around. It's really fun to kind of see how the butter is made.
Yeah. I don't know if it's because I was a designer before I made lore. Like I spent 10 years as an artist making logos for companies. Whether it was my 3 books with Penguin Random House or the comic book, it's sort of been built in that I have to approve things visually before they go out. I sort of have a branding oriented mind, and I manage that for lore and for my iHeart podcasts. So it's nice to see them all come to shape. But our artist, Peter, when he's handed them off to the colorist, he is still actively involved in, those colors are great, but can you change these 3 things? Like he's almost like an art director. He's really good at what he does.
Well, also the logo is by Krista Messner, who's with IDW.
Yes.
And
she hand drew it.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Great job. It's beautiful.
I mean, on one level, lore is sort of a rinse and repeat for me. Like, I get an outline for a topic. It's all anthology, right? So once that topic is researched and written, I rinse and I move on to the next episode. And I'll relive it again when I record the episode and put it out there. This was a chance to sort of cherry pick. All right, I'm in a certain time period. I'm in a certain area of the world. What can we go and grab and bring into his orbit? And it was fun. It was like going shopping in your favorite store. So I liked it.
It's really cool. I mean, the urge to keep buying the comic to see what happens. And also, if you like it, if you haven't had a deep dive into lore, you need to go listen to the podcast and get Foolish Mortals and all the books.
Wicked Mortals.
Wicked Mortals.
They are foolish, though. I do like that.
Went into Haunted Mansion mode for a minute there, but yes,
That's
the books
okay.
are great.
I also think it's a great chance for people to see. I mean, lore is a historical podcast. It's engaging storytelling, but it's still basically a history documentary. And this is a chance to see stuff come to life and show how exciting and frightening it can be. So I'm excited to see how those things I cherry picked in the store can live on the page for readers. We would love to. I think a lot of it just depends on folks going out and pre-ordering it and buying it and telling their friends about it. But if you love things like Sherlock Holmes, Hellboy, Supernatural, like this is gonna.
I would say Penny Dreadful.
Penny Dreadful. Yeah, this is gonna tick those boxes. So
that's who I picture as Wellington, is the guy from Penny Dreadful.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
Awesome.
I mean, 14 seasons on the air at this point. What haven't they killed, right? There are some things in lore that are like one-off monsters. Like Mothman, was a very limited amount of time in a very specific place. So they're not going to find Mothman in like Western Oklahoma and kill it. Honestly, Sam and Dean can pick whatever monster they want and kill it right in front of me. I don't care. It'd be great. But they've done banshees. They've vampires and werewolves, of course.
Have they done the Jersey Devil?
No, but that was an X-Files episode.
Yeah, there was one episode where they thought it was, but then it was the Leviathans. But
right.
But they have never actually done the Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
Well, but I wrote for X-Files too, and it's hard to find something that they haven't covered at some point in time, because we're all dipping into the same well that we love.
Absolutely. And I think what it shows is 25 plus years of X-Files, 15 seasons of Supernatural. There's something so powerful and attractive about these stories we've always told, and whether it's a dry documentary about them that's exciting, or whether it's giving them like a fictional adventure, these creatures they're fun, and so that's our hope for the series, is that it can be fun like that for people.
Awesome.
Something that we're
most looking forward to.
What about you? You got your dice.
I mean, I came looking for new dice for D&D, and I got them. But I love the effort and the work that goes into the costumes. I love looking around. I'm a people watcher, so everywhere I go, I'm like, do I know that person, or check out that shoes? So seeing the costumes that's a great experience. I don't look forward to walking very slowly in large crowds. And that's kind of like I think New York Comic Con is Latin for walking slowly in large crowds.
Basically.
And getting like elbow checked by gigantic backpacks.
Yes, or wings, slapped in the face with wings. But I mean, there are certain categories of things you can find here, right? Like old comic books, old toys. I love the artist alley. I love seeing the work that the people do. Last year when Delilah and I were shopping downstairs, she bought an original like page for a Transformers comic because we're both Transformers nuts too. And I think I'm in love with this idea of owning some pages from comics.
So we need to go talk to Nick Roach and Brendan Cahill down there.
That's right.
Like, they're down there.
So I may be going down there, and I have to find a tube so I can get it home.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think I'm ready. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been looking for the Transformers card game Nightbird exclusive, which apparently you have to order through your local shop instead of getting it at Comic Con. So I feel like I failed. But no, my favorite thing. I mean, I live in Florida, and all of our writer friends are spread around the world. And we all have these close friendships because we hang out year after year, and then we only get to see each other. This is like our family reunion.
Yeah.
At these, and so I'm really excited about going downstairs and seeing some comics people and seeing everybody on the Star Wars panel today, and breakfast with people. And yeah, it's the people. Like it's
It is.
Family.
It's family.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.